1 year ago, I wouldn't imagine myself making an ACC tutorial video because of my lack of knowledge. And now here I am, driving one of the hardest cars in the game in order to learn how to drive more aggressively and to help you get used to Audi A8 a lot easier. In this video, I will show you 5 tips that you need to know which will help you develop a new technique and understand the car better. So let me tell you more about them. The first tip that for some people may be obvious is that you need to control the throttle more gently. You cannot apply full pressure when driving out of the slow speed corners because you will lose the rear almost right away. As you probably know, the engine is placed in the middle, so the car tends to turn more, but because of the specifications of that engine, it reacts to the throttle output almost immediately. It means that every time you need to know when the car has enough grip to put the foot to the floor. I experienced this lack of knowledge lately in my first race at Zandvoort, which I recommend you watching. For a period of time I focused too much on the lap times and it resulted in me spinning out and spinning out again because of overheated tires. Also, the same rule applies when tackling through curbs, for example on Paul Ricard or the chicane on Nürburgring. Especially when driving without traction control, sometimes it may be too slippery to add more throttle. So when driving out of the corner, try to put pressure on the gas pedal gradually until you feel confident to put it to the floor. Setting up electronics correct in Audi is crucial because it can help you achieve better lap time. So here I present you the most used values. Engine map, which longs the time of the engine reacting to the gas pedal, ranges from 1 to 3 for dry conditions and 5 to 6 for wet conditions. Usually you should have it on minimum unless you struggle with throttle control, then set it higher. Traction control ranges from 0 to 5 and I would not recommend setting it higher than 1 unless the track is wet or flooded and you really need stability. Also, it is better to stiffen up your front suspension more than to increase traction control, which really cuts off your engine's power. Anti-lock braking system ranges from 2 to 4, but it really depends on the track that you are driving. For example, on Paul Ricard and Zandvoort, I set ABS to 2 and it felt good, but on Nürburgring, wheels locked up almost all the time with this value, so I had to set it to 3. In ACC, the more aggressive the setup, the faster you are on track, but adjust these values according to your skill level. Setting up brake bias in this car sometimes can be quite confusing. As you know, the lower the value, the more braking force is distributed to the rear of the car. In McLaren, for example, the value is set pretty low, from 47 to 52. In Audi, however, brake bias is usually set between 54 to 58, because lower values are really harsh and they induce a lot of oversteer, which sometimes can be a killer. Keep in mind that brake bias setting can depend on the setup that you are driving on and you should adjust it to the point where the car turns properly and smooth into the corner. Brake ducts are another big thing you need to watch out when adjusting the setup. If you aren't aware what they do, brake ducts affect how much air can go through the brakes. The higher the value, the more air is cooling down the brakes, and as a result, the tires are heated from them less. Audi is one of those cars that really shreds rear tires, especially in warm conditions, resulting in more oversteer. Also, low brake ducts aren't helping with the tire wear either, because tires can overheat a lot faster. Especially in this car, usually it is a good idea to run brake ducts between 4 to 6. By doing so, you will reduce tires overheating, increase grip, and oversteer less, without losing a lot of lap time. When making a setup for Audi, there is one setting that stays the same all the time and it's rear wing, which you should always have it on maximum. When you increase rear wing, the car generates more downforce, which will make it more stable by having more grip at the rear, but generates more drag and as a result it reduces top speed. Compared to other cars, Audi has one of the best top speed and accelerations at maximum wing, so the change is not necessary on each track. And that's all the tips I wrapped up for you today, so now go and practice and use everything you've learned. All of my experiences while driving an Audi in my first races are documented on my channel, so you can check it out. Apart from that, have a nice drive.